It's goody, boys. Let's get into this quality content. So, first of all, first of all, a lot of you should probably click off this video. Like, literally, pretty much all, like, almost a lot of people should be, because today we're going to be talking about football right there. So many of you are going to have no idea what I'm talking about if you don't watch football. So, if you don't pay very close attention or like watch football or follow the NFL in any way, do not watch this video. Like, click off, because like it's gonna get cringy. You're not gonna know what I'm talking about. So let's just get into it. I got some notes here. So obviously I'm a 49ers fan, right? So it's gonna actually be a video about predictions for next year. I'll get into the Super Bowl predictions and all that in a minute. But first thing we got to talk about, obviously, Brady moving from New England to Tampa Bay. By the way, sorry for the fucked audio today. Oh no, the computer's not totally bugging. So let's just look at some of the stats that Brady put up last year with no Pro Bowl wide receivers on his team. Just a fucking geriatric Julian Edelman. So Brady put up 4,057 yards, 24 touchdowns, and threw 8 interceptions. And his contract will be 2-year, $50 million, plus, I believe, I don't know how much the signing bonus is, but a multi-million-dollar signing bonus, obviously, which is, if you really average it out, it's $25 million a year plus the signing bonus. So then here, now he's going to have 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers on his team in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So, yeah, that Buccaneers team should be pretty good. No excuses this year for when he chokes the NFC Championship to the 49ers, if he even makes the playoffs, because I know a lot of people have high hopes for Brady, but really, I mean, I feel like Brady's a little overrated. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback of all time. I think when you have the greatest tight end of all time, the defensive player of the year, the best player in the league at that time, the greatest coach of all time, he's had a Pro Bowler both defensively and offensively every single year of his career, and he's not really the biggest. I mean, I don't think he's bad. I think he's a top 10 quarterback of all time, but I don't think he's the best. He's not the best quarterback of all time, which means he's certainly not the greatest player of all time. A lot of you are going to be like, oh, you're just biased because you're a Niners fan. Well, that's actually not true. If you personally ask me, I think that the greatest player of all time was probably Lawrence Taylor. But anyways, we're not getting into that. So let's compare Brady's stats, okay? $25 million, 4,057 yards, 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Let's compare that to the 49ers current quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, right now. So they've got $27.5 million to him, so $2.5 million more dollars are paid to Garoppolo per year than Brady. So 3,978 yards, nothing good, nothing bad, a little average. 27 touchdowns, great, but 13 interceptions. However, all of that will be excusable when you see how much he's handed the ball off and let them run. He's definitely had a lot less pass attempts than Brady. So his stats are actually more impressive for the amount of times that he's had to throw the ball. I don't think Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Brady career-wise, but I think this season he had a better year than Brady. And I think that until Brady retires, he's going to be a better quarterback than Tom Brady from this point on. Obviously, he was Brady's backup. And Brady was actually intimidated by him and asked for Garoppolo to be traded. However, this is not a Brady-hating video. This is strictly football, so I'm not even going to be biased anymore. But I am going to talk about the 49ers. I'm not going to state any opinions. So they've got 3 different running backs that all had 500-plus yards this year. So Raheem Mostert, 5.6 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns, 772 yards. That's extremely impressive because that's actually a lot for the amount of opportunities that he was given and for the amount of games that he was actually starting, especially balancing it out with 2 other running backs. So then we've got Matt Breida, who had 5.1 yards per carry, just the one touchdown, 623 yards, and then we've got Tevin Coleman, who had 6 touchdowns, 554 yards, and 4.0 yards per carry now. If you want to average all that out, I'll do it for you. 4.9 yards per carry, 15 touchdowns, and 1,939 rushing yards. Those are absolutely MVP stats. If a running back actually put up 15 touchdowns and just about 2,000 yards, he would be the MVP. So if you add all of those numbers up, plus just that's not even including the plays where they've run it where other players other than the quarterback has thrown the ball, you get 6,040 all-purpose yards, which is by far the most because the Ravens, who people say are the best offense in the league, only had 5,398 all-purpose yards, which is nothing compared to how many the 49ers had. So, number 1 offense, number 1 defense in the league, the 49ers go to. Now, the number 10 special teams, but I don't think special teams is really what's going to define whether or not a team wins a championship. I mean, Adam Vinatieri, the greatest kicker of all time, never won, a championship without a Hall of Fame quarterback and Peyton Manning or Tom Brady at the quarterback. So, of course, special teams didn't decide that. So a lot of people are saying, the Seahawks are going to go 15-1. They're going to have a bounce-back year. That's not true because the Niners are going to beat them both games they play next year. And a lot of people are going to say, the Seahawks beat them last year when they played each other. However, that one game that the Seahawks beat the Niners, George Kittle, he was out because it was Veterans Day, and he was a veteran. That was the one game he missed all year, and that was the first loss of the entire season. So, of course, when the 49ers don't have their best player, the Seahawks beat them one time. And then when they did have George Kittle, you saw what happened. Also, Seahawks fans, you're not going to like this joke that I'm about to make, but let me tell you, the Seattle Seahawks are the only team where you can literally say, hey, remember that time they choked at the 1 yard line, and you have to say which time. It's just true. The Seahawks just never seem to be able to make it past that 1 yard line. Whether they throw a goal line interception or Dre Greenlaw just fucking rocks your shit right at the goal line. That's how it be sometimes when you play the number 1 defense in the league. So I don't think the Seahawks are going to have a bounce-back year because not only that, but I think the Cardinals are going to actually pass the Seahawks because the Seahawks are without a doubt going to lose both games to the Niners and they're going to lose both games to the Cardinals. Now, I do think that they're actually going to beat the Rams at least one time, probably both times. The Cardinals, they got DeAndre Hopkins, and all they did was trade away their second-best running back on the team in David Johnson, and now Kyler Murray has that similar high-powered offense that I would compare to some of the weapons that Lamar Jackson had this year, but even better because instead of Marquise Brown, he has DeAndre Hopkins, who I think Michael Thomas is the best receiver in the league, but you can make a case for DeAndre Hopkins. So I think that it's going to be the Cardinals that actually pass the Seahawks. I could see the Cardinals anywhere from a range of 9-7 to 11-5. My guess would be more like 10-6, but they could go 11-5, 10-6, 9-7. I think they're playoff bound. Obviously, wild card. Number 1 offense, number 1 defense. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that 6 of the games that the 49ers played this year resulted in the game being decided within the final 5 seconds. So what this tells us is that, first of all, the other 10 games, they won all of the games that were not decided at that point. But what that tells us is they could have gone 16-0 or they could have gone 10-6. It was either way that the season pushed them. 13-3, not bad. Obviously the best seed in the NFC. But next year, I think the only thing they're going to have to worry about is the Cardinals because they were very close to the Niners this year, and they didn't really lose any star power, but instead they added DeAndre Hopkins to the roster. So the one team, as a 49ers fan, that I'm actually worried about is the Cardinals. The Seahawks, I mean, Russell Wilson's not getting any younger. He's not exactly geriatric, but he's not exactly a rookie either, youngin. DK Metcalf, maybe a star next year, probably, definitely very underrated. Yeah, but Russell Wilson not getting any younger. Definitely, the Seahawks are not going to be taking the NFC West probably until after Russell Wilson retires, and then they can start a rebuild. So it'll probably be anywhere from 10 to 20 years before the Seahawks can actually take the NFC West. Now, another thing that we really have to talk about now is what do I think the Niners are going to produce? My guess would be they're either 14-2 or 15-1 because I'm sure they're going to lose one or two games. Definitely, I'd be worried about a loss to the Cardinals. And that's really the only team in the entire league that I'd be worried about. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be one of the best teams in the league, but I just feel like the way that their offense is built, it's the exact thing that will negate everything that the 49ers team is. And so even though I don't think that they're, a top 3 team in the league or a top 5 team in the league, I think they might be, 10th or 9th or 10th best team in the league. I still would think they could beat the Niners because of exactly how it's built. I mean, the only thing the Niners have trouble with is extremely quick, high-powered offenses. I mean, and this is like fast players, Matt Ryan's Falcons, that was a bullshit call. They probably shouldn't have even lost that game to the Falcons. But the Ravens and the Seahawks, the two best scrambling quarterbacks in the league right now. I mean, you could make a case for Josh Allen or Deshaun Watson, but I think it's between Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, maybe Patrick Mahomes, or Josh Allen or Deshaun Watson. But in my opinion, Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson. So obviously, carrying all that speed, of course, Kyler Murray is an extremely mobile, fast quarterback. Kenyon Drake is the kind of running back that can receive much like Mark Ingram. So definitely he'll be an important receiving back. He's got plenty of speed. And then, of course, you got DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, what else do I have to explain? I mean, even if you didn't click off the video when I told you to, you probably still know who DeAndre Hopkins is or have heard of him. Because he's a definite Pro Bowler, no question. And he'll have an extremely similar quarterback to Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is very underrated. I think there's a chance. People are going to say I'm crazy, and then they're going to see the next football season. I think there's a chance that Murray wins MVP. And a lot of people are going to be like, whoa, slow your roll. You're crazy. But you know what? Don't make your comment until you see what happens next year, because I'm telling you, this is the perfect offense, and Hopkins is going to fit in perfectly because he is so used to an offense like that. Now, have some more stats here because I do think Brady's Buccaneers are going to do well. The biggest problem with the Buccaneers was interceptions. Jameis Winston, Mr. 30 for 30, chuck it and fuck it. That was a great strategy. But he threw 30 touchdowns, and Brady only threw 24. But Brady only threw 8 interceptions, and Jameis Winston threw 30 of them. So Brady also definitely has a stronger arm than Jameis Winston. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson are about the only two people in this league, and maybe Matt Ryan. Not Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is trash. The Falcons suck. But Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes are the only real players who have the arm strength that's more powerful than Brady in this entire league. So definitely when he's throwing to Evans, throwing to Godwin, Evans is definitely more of a double me player, and Godwin is a rack 'em up, just pass the defenders, run through them. So that should be interesting. They've got some fast running backs down there in Tampa Bay. And with Drew Brees retiring, I would still say the Saints had a chance, but then they traded Bridgewater to the Panthers, and I think Bridgewater was really underrated, and he could have led this offense to do something great, but they didn't really give him a chance in New Orleans. So a lot of people think Taysom Hill is going to be the quarterback. I don't know. I think if they put Taysom Hill at the quarterback, he's not going to perform as well because the whole thing with Taysom Hill is the fact that he could line up anywhere. You have no idea what he's going to do on each play, and that's the biggest advantage for him. So definitely think the Saints are going to get screwed. The Buccaneers probably going to win the NFC South. But I don't think they're going to make it far in the playoffs, really. Brady is just not, he's just too old. He's just not going to perform as well. And I know that Evans and Godwin are going to, be fine. But when you saw Mike Evans and Chris Godwin try and go up against the 49ers defense on opening day last season, the season that had just played, they're the number one defense in the league. They're just even if Brady makes it all the way to the NFC Championship against the 49ers, I just don't see it. There's just no chance that they can perform against a defense like that. And actually, oddly enough, even though I know the Falcons suck and they're not going to win very many games, they're still going to, perform against Tom Brady. And the NFC South is probably going to be one of the easiest divisions in football. I mean, I would say the AFC South is actually going to be the easiest division in football next year. I don't think I'll talk more about that later, but I might get into it. Because Brady is going to be there with his Buccaneers, and they're going to be doing great, but the Saints, now that they don't have Breeze, it just ruins the whole chemistry. They needed to keep Bridgewater, but now they're screwed. The Panthers, they're just getting carried by Christian McCaffrey. He's the only player on their team that's even slightly decent, and he's an MVP candidate. He's far more than slightly decent, but they just have nothing. And they released Cam Newton. Obviously, maybe if Cam Newton came back, he's going to do great, because I'm sure whether he lines up with the Chargers or with the Patriots, whichever team he's going to next year, he's going to do fine. Obviously, if he winds up with the Patriots, I still think the Bills are going to win that division, but that's more for later. Point is, NFC South is a trash division, so I think Brady's going to have an easy time getting into the playoffs. So I think they're going to be like a team that's like, I wouldn't want to say overhyped, but they're going to have such an easy schedule with that division without Drew Brees there. But I just feel like the Falcons may beat the Buccaneers at least once, because they have a lot of anger. Obviously, we all know the story, 28-3 Brady. But what you don't know is that the Falcons must have so much anger about it. And, they re-signed Todd Gurley, who, 2 years ago could have been the MVP. Off year this year, who's to say he can't come back? I mean, Saquon technically had an off year this year. You think Saquon's not going to do well next year? You're fucking stupid if you think that. I'm sorry, I thought I just called you fucking stupid, but really you're being fucking stupid if you think that Saquon's not going to have a great year next year. Actually, no, I take back my apologies. You don't deserve an apology if you honestly think that. So, my point being, the 49ers are definitely going to make the Super Bowl. Who do I think they're going to play? I'm so fucking tired of this Chiefs hype. I know they've got 3 young wide receivers. Oh, they're going to make it back to the Super Bowl. Bitch. Lamar Jackson's fucking Ravens. I think they're the fastest team in NFL history. You're going to say, oh, the Chiefs receiving core is so fast. Bitch, nobody in the league is faster than Marquise Brown. Not Tyreek Hill, not Sammy Watkins, not McCole Hardman, not Raheem Mostert, the 49ers running back, who is definitely a top 5 fastest player in the league, but we're not getting into that. Nobody's faster than Marquise Brown. So the Ravens season, oh my gosh. It's going to be such a breeze. Such a breeze. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl next year because the Titans use all their cap space on Derrick Henry. So, obviously, Titans aren't even going to be contenders. Henry's going to be a great Pro Bowler, MVP candidate maybe. I don't know where all that's going to go. I think, there's 3 teams that could do it. And maybe 4 in the Raiders, because Raiders really could be a sneak-up team, but I just don't see them beating the Chiefs, which would be hard for them. So, I got it. It's either going to be the Ravens, the Bills, okay, or the Chiefs. I don't think it's really going to be the Chiefs. I think it's either Ravens or Bills. A lot of people are going to say, how are you going to say the Bills? Because last year, they were the 5 seed, right, under Josh Allen, John Brown, young core, great running quarterback, right, great trickery, great trick plays, all game. They're up 16-0 on the Texans, and they choke, whatever. This time, they're not going to choke because they have but one of the most clutch players in the league right now. He's so clutch. I mean, we all know the Minneapolis Miracle, what he did against the Saints. When the Vikings almost went to the Super Bowl, played in their hometown, but they missed out. So, Stephon Diggs is the new addition to the Bills. Not to mention Devin Singletary. Oh, it makes me so angry when they say he's so underrated. Devin Singletary is so underrated. He's literally, I'm not kidding. You are gonna clown me so much. He can break tackles better than Derrick Henry. I'm not saying he can truck better or stiff arm better, but he can get away from tackles. He can break tackles better than Derrick Henry. He's literally a top 5 running back in the league, and nobody understands that because it doesn't. He's so underrated. So, with that being said, I presume the Super Bowl matchups to either be 49ers Ravens, 49ers Bills, or you can go fuck yourself. Okay? So, that's my predictions, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and obviously, go 49ers. I don't know or think I'm going to be making another... No, actually, no, I am going to make another video if you hit the subscribe button, if you want to see more of these, or, I'll just go back to my normal channel. I'm probably going to upload some Slither play in a little bit, not because I like Slither, because I have nothing better to do for content. Cool, so we're cool, that's cool, we already said it, alright, bye.